So this tragic event which actually unfolded over the weekend between Palestine and Israel is leading to a sharp spike in crude oil prices. And as things are unfolding, there is also a view that this may also lead to disruption in international container movement as well. So some international logistics also, to a certain extent, around that of Middle East may actually be impacted. There will be limited India impact, though, I must put it on the table at the outset. But somebody who understands international trade very well is now joining us on the show, Mr. Dr. Ajay Sahai, DG and CEO, FIEO, Federation of Indian Exports Organization. Dr. Sahai, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. This entire matter, the way it is flaring up, I want to understand, in your view, you may have already analyzed it and you would have gone through all the data points over the last 48 hours. How limited does the impact look for India, one, and for the region on crude oil, on international freight rates, all of that, how do you see the impact?
In fact, depends whether this conflict just remain a kind of terrorist attack where countries are not joining it. And in that situation, it may not be escalated, it may not be a prolonged one. In such situation, we are not seeing much impact of that, except that on the oil prices front, we are little worried. Oil prices have already moved upward in last 2 weeks or so, and probably this kind of conflict may give a further push to that. You have rightly said that we are little concerned on the logistics because this may push the freight cost also, both because there may be limited availability of fleet also, and with the war insurance premium going up, the freight may be increased. It may also result in the little challenge on the credit front as well, and probably the premium of companies, the international companies and ECGC may go up. As of now, so far as the trade is concerned, our trade with Israel is around $10.7 billion. Out of all that, export around $8.2 billion. Principal export is petroleum, cut and polished diamond. They are the two major ones. Of course, we are exporting cereal, apparel, electronics also. So we are not much worried of that, but if it prolongs, definitely we have to look into what kind of scenario will emerge at that point of time. On the import front also, we are little concerned with the rough diamond supply because Israel is one of the sources for the rough diamond supply. We have also seen that Russia has so far been cut off from the rough diamond supply. Probably the G7 is likely to take a view. But if Russia and Israel both are not in the market, probably on the rough supply side also, we will have much challenges. So what trade is concerned, probably in such situation, there may be a flight of capital from different market to the US, which may appreciate the US dollar also. So which may not be a very good news for the Indian exporter as well. So these are at this point of time our concern. Much will depend whether we will be able to contain this conflict to the region also. But if some of the major countries join this conflict, probably we will have a very dampening impact on the global trade. We are already seeing what is happening in Russia and Ukraine, and probably we may not afford a second war in our region.
No, sure, Dr. Sai, that point is quite clear that in terms of the India exposure, it's quite little. You talked about the trade, which is limited to diamonds as well as, oil products as well. But for the overall globe, do you think Israel was very important in terms of any specific product that we should watch out for? And secondly, I also wanted your take regarding this, the Middle East corridor that was signed around G20 as well, because today, of course, railway stocks are also coming under pressure because there seems to be some concerns around that. Do you think it's only temporary in nature and over the long term, there shouldn't be any issue regarding that?
So far Israel is concerned, they are a very strategic partner. We have I2, U2 with the countries, including Israel. We have a lot of defense cooperation going on with Israel. There's a lot of technology transfer, including in the renewable energy. We are working with the Israel. So if we are looking to the overall economic cooperation with Israel, it is happening on multifarious front, and probably that may increase in times to come. So far, IMECC corridor is concerned, is still, I will say that it's a kind of a feasibility study which has been done, but probably the commitment of the country so far as the expenditure is concerned or the overall cost of the budget has not been worked out. So it is still limited. If it if it converts into a conflict between Israel and Middle East, then there will be definitely question mark on IMECC project. But as of now, we are not looking into that aspect. We feel that it will be a kind of conflict between Hamas and Israel, which will be contained. But if it escalates into a kind of conflict with countries of the Middle East joining it, probably there will be definitely a big question mark over the entire IMECC project also.
One last word, because you understand this subject, Dr. Sai, I appreciate our curiosity. By the overtures made by some other, countries, if Lebanon joins and if Iran's role in this entire attack comes out very clearly, and there are some potential sanctions on it, how much probability would you assign, the way data is incrementally flowing out, that this matter could escalate from here on, or how much possibility that it may contain in a week's time or so?
I think the role of China and Russia will be very crucial. Iran's support is quite visible, the kind of a statement which Iran has issued, and we know Iran's support to Hezbollah groups there. But as of now, both China and Russia has been very diplomatic, and they have rightly said that this needs to be contained. So if these two major power is not further putting fuel to that, probably we will be able to contain that. I know that Iran has some concern, but then Iran should also be equally concerned with the recent rapprochement which they have carried out with the US, and any further escalation will probably take that off road as well.
Dr. Sahai, thanks so much for making time and speaking with us and helping us understand better as to what the implications could be. So for now, the direct exposure to India might be limited, but in terms of trade disruptions that might follow, we'll have to watch how the situation evolves.